I was just sitting here thinking, guys, that one thing that you never hear from preppers or survivalists and things along those lines is the skills that you actually need. Everybody says that you have to have all these skills, and yeah, they may throw a few in there, but in today's video, I'm going to go over all the skills that I believe that you need and your survival group needs. And why I say survival group is because you're not going to be able to survive on your own. The whole Rambo idea, get that idea out of your head right now. I'm here to tell you guys, you will need a survival group, and everybody in that group will need a combination of skills, and a lot of you will need to master several different skills and pass those on to either younger people and stuff. Though everybody's going to have to at least be semi-good at everything, and at least to a certain point, unless if they have a really particular skill like they're a medic or something along those lines. So with that being said, let's get into today's video, shall we? So the first skill that you're going to need is how to gather and purify water. Why? Because water is it's the most important thing that you're ever going to need in a survival situation. And you can only go 3 days back without it. Number 2, acquire some kind of shelter. Why do I say shelter second? Because the elements can do you in very, very quickly. And these are in no particular order, but there is 3 that I'm putting at the top. So, shelter, it can be a makeshift shelter, it can be a cabin that you build out there, it could just be a tent that you have with you. It does not matter. But you need to get out of the elements. But understand that those makeshift shelters will only be good for so long, and it's better if you can get a big stand-up shelter, like a cabin built, before everything gets too bad. Number 3, food. Obviously, that's your big 3. Water, shelter, food. And I know that sounds kind of like a weird order, but you can actually go weeks without food, but you do need food because you're going to have to stay energized and stay in shape, so to speak. And believe me, that really does help because you're going to have to get out there and be chopping firewood and things, but I'll get into that a little bit later in today's video. Now, the big thing that you have to remember there too is with all 3 of these, you're not going to have enough time to do all these. You're not going to have enough time to build a shelter, purify water, and go out and get food. So you got to have people that can do these things. And really, you need people that are really strong that can just go and get water from a local lake or creek. And I'm talking about this from a scenario of SHTF is set in, society's collapsed, and like you're having to live out there in the middle of the woods. Not bugging out particularly, but you're just having to live kind of off grid at this point. Now, here's something else to think about though too. After those 3, your next deal is, this is the one that a lot of people kind of struggle with. And this is where you need a medic in your group. And again, these are in no particular order at all. You need somebody with some medical training in your group. But whether it be like a medic on an ambulance, like any kind of nurse, doctors, anything like along those lines. And that medical training, even though they don't have a hospital or anything anymore, just having those will be of use. And they can also teach other people some basic things. And infection is going to be a big killer, guys, in this particular scenario. It was during, the Civil War and gangrene and all this stuff and having to amputate all these limbs and everything. But I'm here to tell you guys that without a running hospital, with all the sanitation and all the meds and stuff, though, and all the ways to keep everybody clean and safe, the risk of dying from even a small little nick is going to be extremely high if you don't have somebody that knows what they're doing and if you don't have these medical things in your preps. And that brings me into actually having these things in your preps, having ways to gather water, having obviously ways to go out and get food. It doesn't always have to be a gun. I mean, fishing line, I talked about it in one of my last videos, just getting a cane pole and having that fishing line and stuff, or even making your own fishing pole. Now, that medical training is going to come in very handy. Next up is going to be people with some kind of security experience. This is putting together a group and the skill sets, though, guys. Again, these are in no particular order because they all have to work together in order to be successful. Now, here is the big issue with this. You have a lot of guys or women who was in the military that claim that they did all this stuff. Well, you need to find out if they actually know what they know now before SHTF sets in and you haven't set this up. But it doesn't have to be like military personnel. It can be people who've worked in security services that know tactics. It can be people who've worked as police officers. Just people that you know. I'm fortunate enough to know people that have like military training. I'm fortunate enough to have some skill sets that have been passed down through my family from generations and things along those lines. But you're going to need somebody that really knows what they're doing, that can teach other people in a hurry, because you're going to have to run security around your homestead and your camp, because there's going to be people out there that want to take what you have as a defensive position, obviously. Now, with that being said, your next deal is going to be people that can craft things. Your blacksmiths, your cobblers, your people who can make stuff. You know, your people that can work with leather, people that can make new clothes, heavy coats for the winter time, people that can make like new shoes and stuff on the fly. Because remember, stores at this point are completely gone. You got to be ready for all this stuff. Now, with all that being said, those are just a handful of some of the things that you're going to need. And there are so many other things that you need in your group. Your mindset's going to be a huge one. You're going to have to get your mind around that it's no longer the world that it once was. And like I've said in the past, though, too, people don't even realize now that the world they're living in today is different than what it was even 10 years ago. So imagine the event of a collapse. Imagine people sitting there with their phone out trying to do it if an EMP ever hits. And then all the electronics are fried and stuff, though, guys. People are going to be sitting there wondering, well, how come I can't play Angry Birds? How come I can't play my game on my phone? How come I can't run Snapchat, Instagram, or scroll through YouTube Shorts? You've got to realize the mindset of most people these days. And most people's attention span these days is just out the window because of things like that, because of shorts and things like that. I have really tried not to spend very much time on my phone and stuff, though, guys, because it actually gets depressing sometimes, and it actually does have a psychological effect on you to a certain point. I'm not saying don't be on your phone. I enjoy playing like a game on my phone, or just, you know, like using my phone and stuff, though. And I'm posting this video here on like YouTube and stuff, though. But the thing is you've got to know when to be like, okay, it's enough. I'm putting this away for the rest of the day. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not even going to acknowledge that it's there. That's the way that you need to be. Honestly, back when I didn't have a phone, it was a great time. I actually went without a phone for almost a month before I could get like my new one in. And that was the best time of my life, because I just got to enjoy things. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have any worries. And honestly, sometimes when people can't get a hold of you like that, it is a nice thing. But that brings me into other deals, though, too, now, of having some kind of tech expert in your group. And what do I mean by tech? I mean somebody who can run radio, somebody that can fix radio, somebody that really knows like the electrical components and stuff, though. And don't get me wrong, guys, the chances of you finding all these people and having them in one survival group are very low. But some of the basic ones that you need are things like, obviously, your water, your people that are really good at getting food, your people that are really good at making those shelters, and people that can run security, and people that can run medical. Those are your big five. People that can do all that stuff. And a lot of you may be thinking, well, how hard is it to get water? Well, here's the thing. It's not just getting the water, but it's making several trips a day, depending on how far away you are from a water source. So if you're far away from a water source, even like a half a mile, you got to remember that you're probably going to be making several trips. Along with this, though, you have to remember that it's 1 gallon of water per day per person minimum. If you're a bigger person, you're going to take more. And this is just between drinking water and being able to bathe, because, again, staying clean is going to be a big thing and everything. And just being able to cook, possibly, and just things along those lines. Now, something else I want to mention, though, too, is people that are really good at growing plants and stuff, though, that's great. But you don't really realize what kind of work it takes to actually grow plants. And there's even somebody that knows 100% of like what they're doing, without all the fertilizers and stuff, though, and everything, you're kind of getting on a fine line of if that first year's crop's really going to come up. This is where your preps come in. This is where things that you've already stowed away come in, because you may not be able to grow anything that first year really well. It could be something, I mean, and like around here, this ground is so like rocky. I do a garden every year, but it's hard to do because this ground is rocky. It's hard to work even with a tiller that's gas powered. So imagine working this ground by hand. Just imagine doing all this stuff though. Guys, I mean, people don't realize what it takes to survive. People don't like realize how much you do every day that is so easy for us here in this country. You've got to be ready for these things to happen, and you've got to be ready at all times. Be sure that you're prepared. Be sure that you are taking legitimate advice, and make sure that your mindset is right whenever that time comes though, guys, because with all the signs around us, it's getting close. And you got to remember that the average lifespan of every empire was 250 years. Look at what year that we're in right now. Make sure that you are being watchful, guys. Our country and the world is becoming more and more dangerous every day. And you just have to be prepared, and you have to stay alert. God bless each and every one of you guys. Guys, thank you for watching today's video. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. If the grid stays up, we will see you guys tomorrow. God bless you, everybody.